of the members of the Fab Five is good enough to join us now, and that would be the one and only Jimmy King, who's here on the Maggie and Perloff show right now. Jimmy, thanks so much for joining us today. How you been?
Good morning or afternoon. I've been well. How are you?
It's okay. We assume, wherever you are in the world, good day.
Yeah, it is. It is. It was. I've been up since like 5:30, so it's still like morning. I'm in Vegas right now. Yeah, but it is afternoon. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Are you there for Summer League?
Yeah, the NBA Summer League, and also my oldest son is doing an international basketball tryout with Coast to Coast. So he just ended this morning. He had an 8:30 game. So he's doing this thing. I'm proud of him.
Yeah, Vegas, by the way, you never know what time of day it is. That's what they do to you in Vegas.
Correct,
but yeah, what's the scene like there in Vegas? And you walk around the hotel lobby, you're just seeing guys everywhere.
Oh yeah, everybody's here. It's like the mecca of basketball, and again, it's not just the NBA; it's everyone in international pool as well. So it's the who's who of basketball, and I'm fanboying on a lot of people. I ran into Bob McAdoo yesterday and took a selfie. And, I had to apologize to him for that. But, yeah, it's a whole bunch of guys out here that I'm fanboying over right now.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up as Jimmy King is our guest, because we appreciate you taking some time for us today, especially now knowing you're in Vegas. Thank you very much. Because we did our list of top 5 greatest college basketball teams of the last 30 years. And so we couldn't put your freshman year at Michigan on this list because it wouldn't have been in our time constraints. But we did put the second year, your sophomore year at Michigan, when you guys made it to the championship game. We lost to North Carolina as our 5th greatest college basketball team of the last 30 years. I imagine people are still talking to you about that team today. What made it so memorable?
It started with the freshman year and our success there, but then building on that success and returning to the championship game. And I think what really made us successful or memorable is the fact that we kind of changed the aesthetics of basketball. College basketball was somewhat vanilla until we came, and we changed it with black socks, black shoes, baggier shorts, and a little more flamboyant style of play that college basketball was not used to. So I think that's why it's more memorable, because we kind of play how the style is today, kind of the NBA players and college players. You see these guys just doing crazy athletic things. We kind of broke that mold in the early 90s. And it's kind of been, the blueprint for basketball in the past 30 years.
Jimmy, what was the moment where you knew that the team was so special, in the sense that you guys were like a rock band? Everywhere you went, buses showed up. When did you know you were famous?
You know what? I don't think I knew that we were actually famous until I went to Europe. And that was not the Europe trip we took our freshman year, but I went overseas in 98. It was 98. I played in the World Championship games with another Michigan guy, Rudy Tomjanovich, who was the head coach. Shout out to Rudy. But we were technically like replacement players while they had the NBA lockout. So the guys who weren't on actual NBA contracts could play. My contract expired, and a host of other guys, so we formed a team, and we went over to Europe and played. And that's when I kind of realized how big of a deal we were, because I was walking down the street and there was nobody on the street. It was just, natives, regular people. I was in Italy, and a guy yelled my name like he knew me, and it startled me. And I turned around like, who is this guy? And he ran across the street and just came up to me and just told me everything about myself. And that's when I realized that, okay, I had a real impact on people across the world. So that was the first time that I really it really impacted me. Like, okay, we touch people across the globe.
Jimmy King is joining us, of course, who's a former member of Michigan's Fab Five. They are number 5 on our greatest college basketball teams of the last 30 years, that 93 team, their sophomore year. So number 1 on our team, Jimmy, we put the 96 Kentucky Wildcats. That would have been the Antoine Walker, Tony Delk, Walter McCarty year. I mean, when I just ask you off the top of your head, greatest college basketball team, does that Kentucky team come to mind, or is it someone else?
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember that team. They played hard. They were a hard playing team. If I'm not mistaken, Rick Pitino was the coach of that team, who was also who recruited me, pretty tough. And he was at Kentucky. Yeah, he had just got to Kentucky. So that team in particular, I think what I remember about them is how hard they play. I remember Tony Delk and hitting big shots. Antoine, they were just tough to guard. Even the teams that we played, the Kentucky teams we played, they took that level to another notch. So when you discuss best teams in the NCAA history, that 96 team definitely sticks out.
Jimmy, we did the parameter of 30 years, so we stopped at 93, your second year, so we could not put the Duke team that beat you on there. How would they rank with Christian Laettner and Bobby Hurley and Grant Hill? I know you know the team well. Where would you put them on your all-time list?
Oh, for sure. No question. There's not that many teams that won back-to-back championships in the NCAA tournament, and obviously they're one of them. And they got, Christian Laettner, who, in my opinion, still doesn't get a lot of accolades or as much as he should. He's arguably, one of the greatest college basketball players of all time. And, Mike Krzyzewski, as a great coach, great program, built that program, had struggles early on, stayed with it and built it into a dynasty. And, recruiting players like, Grant Hill, and even going down the line with Chris Carrawell and, guys after that who are also, who may not be household names, but were great players. So it's a testament to that program.
Jimmy King is our guest, is a member of the Fab Five. We've been going down memory lane here this week with our greatest teams of all time. And today we did, of the last 30 years, pardon me. And today we did college basketball. And so, of course, the Fab Five is on the list. I didn't realize that Rick Pitino had recruited you. How do you say no to Pitino? I thought he was like the greatest recruiter ever.
It was hard. It wasn't easy. It was not easy. And some nights I wish I would have said yes.
Well, you guys got pretty dang close. I mean, as close as you can come. Hey, all these years later, you don't still think about those games, do you? Do you still think about the timeout, or is that stuff all water under the bridge now?
It's water under the bridge. However, occasionally, you'll see something on TV, or, you'll run across a fan or somebody that, want to discuss that era and that time. And then it takes you back. And it's always good, win or lose. I'm always appreciative of it, because that means that we left an indelible mark, and we did something bigger than basketball. There's teams out there that beat us, obviously, but nobody remembers who was on that team. So for us, it was very transcending. But, of course, I'd rather have those W's.
I tell you, Jimmy, I played in baggy shorts. The second I saw you guys, I'm like, Mom, I need bigger shorts. So you had an impact on all of us. It was incredible.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, but that was part of it. It wasn't by happenstance. We wanted to shake it up a little bit. We knew, or we felt that we were going to do so with our play, but we also wanted to do it with, kind of our style, add our style into it, what they call, or what has been called hip hop style. We wanted to usher that in as well. So it wasn't by happenstance. We sat down in the dorms and came up with a plan, like, okay, what can we do to separate ourselves? So we cut our hair bald. We wore baggier shorts, which was also for comfort. And the black shoes and black socks was, totally unheard of it, especially black socks. If you wore black socks back in the day, that means you couldn't play. Like if you wore church socks to the playground, good luck getting on a squad. Guys will be looking at you like, yeah, this dude, we're not picking him up. So we wanted to turn the narrative on its head, right? You can't judge a book by its cover. And so look at the world now. Like I'm out here in Vegas, and I just sit back and watch, and everybody's walking around with black socks on. And it just so happened last night, I got on the elevator, and it was a family. It was a mother, father, and 3 kids. And I think the father recognized me. He was like, hey, big fan. What's your name? And I was like, Jimmy King. And I just went into it, Fab Five. And then I looked at, the kids were looking at me like, who is this guy? And then I looked at them and I was like, you want to know who I am? Have you ever wore black socks before? Now, see, in their world, it's like, of course, everybody's wore black socks. Black socks is the beginning of time for a lot of these people. But I always tell them that really that's our legacy. And that's what really, drives home for me, what we changed about the game.
Jimmy, you said you guys are all in a dorm room, kind of scheming this out together. But whose idea was it ultimately for the black socks and the black shoes? There had to be one person who said it. Was it you?
Well, initially, we were trying to think, Ray Jackson and myself actually wore black socks in high school. Ray wore black socks in LBJ at his high school in Austin. I wore black socks at Plano East.
The Texas thing.
In Texas, yeah. So it was a Texas thing. So my guys... We talk about it all the time because we have been doing it since like sophomore year, junior year in high school. So it wasn't new to us. It was just new to everybody else. But Ray suggested it. And one of his boys, when we were in Houston, our sophomore year, brought up some black socks, or a bunch of different color socks, red, black, blue, gray, and Juwan saw the black socks and was like, oh my God, those are sweet. Like those, like, I think, we should rock with those. But when we went to the mall for everyone to get a pair, there were only 2 pair, I think, maybe 3 pair in the whole mall of athletic black socks. So when you go back and look at the game against Rice, our freshman year, the first game against Rice in Houston, Texas, I think Jalen Rose had on some folded up church socks playing out there, but we sacrificed to make the statement. That's what it's about.